Abusia ini komo our channel so I'll say AGH Politics Avenue. Podcast also trending because making headlines. And ya jembre na idibi exumwo. Na NPP amayuko no etimi Štǒrm diplomatic community Ghana hasi edi omo petition ekoma omo se omo hwe na omo enka bi ema womu because omo hu ni se acheche ekoso no persecution a onua against human rights NPP for no ene kasa asem no nti omo de petition ekoma diplomatic communities in Ghana se omo hwe na omo enka omo nsem ni bi ema womu titru abronye ne ho akaka adwamu na be shock say emu ransem aha AGH Politics Avenue
on the diplomatic community in Ghana to take interest in what it describes as a deteriorating human rights and democratic governance situation in the country, presenting a petition to the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps in Ghana and Ambassador of the Kingdom of Morocco to Ghana, Iman Wadil. The party accused government of criminalizing dissent, weaponizing state institutions, and using security agencies to target opposition voices.
In its petition, the New Patriotic Party accused government of using state security agencies to intimidate political opponents and stifle dissent.
The Ghanaian people are increasingly witnessing a deliberate and systematic weaponization of state institutions against political opponents, journalists, social media commentators, and dissenting voices. The emerging pattern of intimidation, arbitrary arrests, selective prosecutions, politically motivated detentions, and suppression of free speech bears disturbing resemblance to the dark and painful periods of Ghana's political history, commonly remembered as the culture of silence. The most disturbing feature of the present administration is the gradual resurrection of criminal libel and state-sponsored censorship.
The NPP also raised concerns about what it calls selective justice and threats to judicial independence.
The abuse of state security agencies for partisan political purpose has become deeply entrenched. National security operatives, National Investigation Bureau, IOCO, and the Ghana Police are increasingly being deployed against opposition figures in dramatic Rambo-style arrest, midnight raids, dawn invasion of private residences, and prolonged detention under onerous and punitive bail conditions. The selective and partisan application of the law has become impossible to ignore.
But this is not the first time Ghanaian political actors have turned to the diplomatic community over domestic political concerns. Over the years, parties and civic groups have petitioned diplomats on issues ranging from post-election violence and voters' registered disputes to press freedom and judicial independence. While diplomats cannot directly intervene in Ghana's internal politics, such petitions can draw international attention, trigger quiet diplomatic engagements, and increase pressure on state institutions to act. For Deputy Minority Chief Whip Jerry Ahmed Shaib, the NPP may be forced to react if its concerns are not addressed.
When this goes on for more than necessary time, we are not going to sit down and watch. This government, headed by President John Dramani Mahama, does not understand that the criminal libel law was repealed.
The party is therefore demanding action from the diplomatic community.
Your Excellency, we need action. First of all, the first action is to release Ǎrrěsť.
Still on politics, the Minority Chief Whip in Parliament, Frank Anadompre, has called on members of the Minority Caucus to intensify pressure on government and remain united ahead of the 2028 general elections, insisting that the opposition New Patriotic Party remains the party of development. Addressing members of the Minority Caucus during a workshop ahead of Parliament's resumption on Thursday, the 21st of May, Anadompre, the Minority Chief Whip, praised the minority MPs for their resilience and commitment despite their reduced numbers.
Day one of the two-day minority workshop featured a number of resource persons who spoke on assigned topics. The Minority Chief Whip Frank Anodompreh said the caucus had successfully become more agile and well-informed in holding government accountable.
This is evident in our continuous engagement on the floor of the House and in our constituencies, and our ability to effectively illuminate the public on the issues that impact their lives. And we need to sustain this momentum and the pressure on government with one voice and one heart. We will therefore be doing ourselves a disservice if we do not intensify the pressure of accountability and strike whenever they are exposed.
He highlighted several internal strategies adopted by the caucus to strengthen parliamentary performance, including mentorship programs for first-time MPs and assigning younger legislators leadership roles on parliamentary committees. The Minority Chief Whip further claimed the government was fast losing public confidence due to what he termed poor governance and unfulfilled promises.
If there is any time that this party should take back the reins of governance, it is certainly 2028 and not beyond 2028. We have to hold hands, band together, close ranks, because the hope of the multitude of Ghanaians, the millions of Ghanaians, the farmers, the market women, and all the people of this country, you visit the countryside and all they say is that ye need damuso. The NPP is the party of development. Victory is in our hands, and we cannot afford to let 2028 slip by.
In more news tonight, Ghana's ambassador to the United States, Victor Smith, says former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta should return to Ghana and face the legal process, insisting that crime has no expiry date. According to him, the state is following due process, and Ken Ofori-Atta has no reason to fear jail if he has committed no crime.
They are following due process. Just like they are trying to get Abu Trika from Ghana. You're going to follow due process. And we can choose also to use it to leverage. They want somebody who's committed a crime against... Yes. Yeah. And I'm sure you heard recently they were picked up a member of parliament for crimes that they commit. Crime has no expiry date. You could be anybody, but if you commit crime in another country and then they get you, they'll take you in. So Ken Ofori-Atta apparently was unwell, so they are allowed in bail. They're going to make some decisions. We have extradition on him, and he has overstayed, so he's a candidate for expulsion by ICE. So he's not sitting pretty. He has made himself very unhappy here. If I were to advise him, I would ask him to go home and face it, because if you haven't committed a crime, why would anybody want to jail you, really? So this fear of being jailed. Sadly now, I heard extradition is still on. She didn't win the court case she raised. I don't know what they're doing next. If there is any information, we'll make it known to the people of Ghana.
The Supreme Court has dismissed an application by lawyers for the former Deputy Director of the National Service Authority, Gifty Owari-Mensah, seeking to halt her case at the High Court in relation to charges, including causing financial loss of more than 38 million Ghana cedis to the state in an NSS ghost name scandal. Her lawyer, led by Gary Nimakun, were seeking to temporarily stop the trial at the High Court until the Apex Court determines the constitutionality of the practice direction relied on by the High Court. The practice direction requires the accused to file the names and addresses of witnesses as well as witness statements, if any, at the case management conference. The 5-member panel of justices chaired by Chief Justice Paul Bafuboni held that the two cases could run concurrently without the trial at the High Court being put on hold.
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has admitted an application by 14 civil society organizations to join the ongoing case challenging the constitutionality of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The substantive case filed by a private citizen, Noah Adamte, questions whether some powers exercised by the Office of the Special Prosecutor are consistent with provisions of the 1992 Constitution. The civil society organizations seeking to join the case include the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, Transparency International, Imani Africa, One Ghana Movement, the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Star Ghana, Odiko, and Parliamentary Network Africa. Counsel for the applicants, led by Kizito Beyo, in moving the motion for leave to file processes and to be joined to the suit, argued that the civil society organizations played instrumental roles in the establishment of the OSP and can therefore assist the court in determining issues raised in the suit. He intimated that the outcome of the case could have major implications for Ghana's anti-corruption architecture and the broader fight against corruption. Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Štǒrm did not oppose the motion. The 7-member panel of justices chaired by the Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Boni granted the applicants leave of 14 days to file their processes.
In more news this evening, a case ethics against a belief of an unjust ruling. That is the epistle playing out between the Ghana Bar Association and the minority leader Alexander Apenyo Marking. The minority leader, in a scathing criticism of a circuit court judge, has courted the anger of the bar, which says his comments are unfit for his position. And Yonam Haliga has a wrap of that open spat.
The controversy stems from a circuit court ruling ordering the remand of NPP's Bono Regional Chairman, Kwame Bafo, also known as Abronya DC. The presiding judge held that the accused be kept in custody to allow for further legal processes, a decision that immediately drew public and political reaction. But it was after the response from the minority leader and senior lawyer, Alexander Apenyo Marking, that escalated the matter. Apenyo Marking openly criticized the judge, questioned his competence, and suggested bias in the handling of the case.
That judge has no respect for his own judicial oath. I don't think he read the law. That Circuit Court 9 judge, I have no respect for him. For a judge to say that he's remanding Abronye into BNI custody until the case is finally determined, such a judge can never have my respect. I pray that he summons me for contempt. Yes. I will continue to disrespect him until he upholds the law. He's gone beyond his judicial function, and it is not his first. It's as if he has been selected purposely to achieve this.
The comments have since been strongly condemned by the Ghana Bar Association, which says the remarks fall short of the standards expected of lawyers. The association described the conduct as unethical and unbecoming of a senior lawyer and a chief.
A decision may be taken on that. Because don't forget, the judge himself is a person, he has an association, he belongs to the group. But for me, my disappointment remains the fact that a senior member of the bar, who I am told is a chief, who also is minority leader in parliament, who a lot of young people look up to, would say this is my concern, because we keep saying that standards are falling. These are some of the things. If young people listen to figures like this, how do you think they would be? Is it the kind of Ghana we want to build? Well, we condemn his statements in those certain terms.
The incident has now brought renewed focus on the GBA's Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. Under Rule 2, a lawyer is required to maintain the respect due to courts of justice and judicial officers. The code further provides that lawyers must avoid any conduct that undermines public confidence in the administration of justice. The Ghana Bar Association says it will continue to uphold professional standards within the legal fraternity as debate grows over the limits of public criticism and the need to protect independence of the judiciary.
The Ghana National Cocoa Farmers has pledged 10,000 metric tons of cocoa beans to the produce buying company for the light crop season spanning June to July of this year. It follows the signing of an agreement with the produce buying company as part of fulfilling government promise of processing 50% of raw cocoa beans.
In February, government announced a major reform in how it handled its cocoa sector. Key among that was a decision to process 50% of its raw beans locally. The produce buying company was tasked with sourcing the raw beans from farmers to processors in a revamp of the ailing sector. After months of stagnation and sourcing challenges, PBC has agreed a partnership with the Ghana National Cocoa Farmers Association to readily take off raw beans from all its association farmers as part of meeting the government objective. The deal, which will see the state-backed license buying company secure some 10,000 metric tons according to the leadership of the farmers, would deal a heavy blow to smuggling.
This partnership is expected to contribute significantly to the revival of PVC by strengthening the operational and marketing structure, where rebuilding confidence in this role within the cocoa value chain. We also believe that the collaboration will strengthen the relationship between cocoa farmers and the other buying agencies, particularly PBC.
President of the association also called out concerns over conflict of interest within the sector.
When you go to the regulator, most of their key personnel own the LBCs. The money that goes to the sector or pay we farmers, it goes through them. So for instance, if he receives the money, do you think other partners, other LBCs will get it? No.
PBC Managing Director urged cocoa farmers to resort to the state agency to allow for a revamp of the sector.
We on this side have the belief and trust in the welfare of farmers. And we believe that if they are doing well, then we'll also survive as an LBC and the industry will also equally survive. Trust in PBC as the only state entity, that's LBC, that is always there for them and will continue to be there for them.
The light crop season lasts between June and July.
The Supreme Court has granted an application by the trustee of the Methodist Church to join the suit by private citizen Shafiq Osman in the suit regarding the discrimination against Muslim students at the Wesley Girls High School. The plaintiff, Shafiq Kwabena Osman, filed the suit on December 23, 2024 against the Ministry of Education and Wesley Girls, alleging violations of the constitutional rights of Muslim female students. Lord Eduasare reports.
Shafiq Osman is challenging what he describes as restrictions imposed by the Wesley Girls High School on Muslim students, including prohibitions on wearing the hijab, observing the Ramadan fast, and practicing other aspects of their faith. He argues that such measures infringe on constitutionally guaranteed religious freedoms. He is therefore invoking the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court under Articles 21B and 131A of the 1992 Constitution. In court on Tuesday, May 19, lawyers of the trustees of the Methodist Church of Ghana moved an application to join the suit against the Wesley Girls High School as fourth defendants in the case. Lead counsel George Ankoma Mensah indicated to the court that the outcome of the suit filed by Shafiq would have a ripple effect on the Methodist Church of Ghana, who are owners of the school. But lawyer for Shafiq Osman, Abdulaziz Gomda, opposed the application, arguing that it was an attempt by the applicants to rehash a matter which had already been dealt with by the Apex Court. Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Remsai was, however, of the view that the trustees be added to the suit. He explained that the school is owned by the church but publicly managed, hence they ought to be party to the case. The 7-member panel of justices admitted the applicants as defendants in the suit and directed them to file processes. Lawyer for the plaintiff, Abdulaziz Gomda, reacted to the decision of the court.
Even if the whole Ghana joins the suit, it doesn't still take away the argument with me. So we look forward to traveling to the substantive merits. Our hope is that this will be the last time some of these interlocutory applications will come, because we are hoping for an expeditious trial. And to have these applications keep coming it delays the matter. And those allegations which complain of are still being committed against innocent students. So it is better for the case to travel fast.
Lodi Dwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Away from the courts, the Ghana Armed Forces, as part of Exercise Storm Shield, has conducted a cordon and search operation in Boku General area. The operation, which aims to restore peace, led to the arrest of 3 persons and the retrieval of ammunition. A report by Castro Senyala.
The cordon and search operation was part of the Ghana Armed Forces exercise Storm Shield, which commenced last week to improve the military's readiness and strengthen organizational resilience in responding to modern security threats. The operation saw the deployment of troops to various locations within the Boko General area in search of weapons. Colonel John Qualton is the Northern Command Operations Officer.
Incidentally, when we started the exercise, in some of the areas that we searched, we came by very good exhibits. Our searchers were able to retrieve some live rounds and some expanded cartridges and even some locally made weapon clubs that are dangerous for human being to be holding. And we have given them to the police. As you can see, we are just behind the police station. We have given the suspect and the exhibit we retrieved to the police. And this has given us indication of what needs to be done in the areas.
Colonel Qualton said the military will continue to carry out cordon and search.
We ain't Samahuro Tim Koso Channel, so Mamma was so Jim Ray. That's an so bad India don't be Edomian. Unya, Yabasan Asumo.